Today, we've got a wild entitled parent story about a mom that won't let her child be financially independent. We'll get into that in a bit, but first, how to explain that I shouldn't have to share intimate details about my relationship with family. I, 22-year-old female, have been dating my boyfriend for over 2 years. At first, my family was supportive and invited him over several times, even to stay nights. It's confusing because there are moments they are very kind to him, but other times they question his values and his truthfulness regarding pretty heavy things when he's been open about many personal struggles and has only ever been generous with his time, energy, and money. Lately, I'm getting accused of being cold, distant, and different despite talking with my family 1 to 3 hours a day and helping with things like paperwork, booking appointments, etc. I now live away from home. Because I don't share a lot of details about my relationship, like how often we talk every week, if we're sexually active, and his family's lives. I've even been criticized for not sharing details about the health status of one of his friends they met a couple times. I've been told I've been brainwashed when I tried explaining that there are some things about our relationship and his personal life that I either A, don't think are relevant to them, so why should they know, or B, aren't appropriate to share with other people. I really think some things should be kept between couples, but I'm being told that my not sharing shows that I'm in a way choosing him over my family. I used to share basically everything with them, and now that I don't, it's a problem. Part of the concern is that because my boyfriend isn't close with his family, I've stopped being close with mine. But his situation is entirely different because they've always been very physically and emotionally abusive. I tried explaining myself and giving examples of things I've done for them and reassuring that I will always be available to help and give time and love, but apparently I'm a liar since I've also confessed I felt scared, to be honest, about things in the past because I wasn't sure how they'd react. For example, I've been made to feel guilty for wanting to spend a completely normal amount of time with my boyfriend before, and sometimes, when I've been upset, have been invalidated. I've been told, since you couldn't be open about things in the past, how do we know you're not lying when you say you're there for us? And true love is completely honest and transparent, implying I don't actually love them. Now I'm being threatened to be cut off financially and told that if I want to go my own way, I can. I was also criticized for wanting to go on a short trip with him, even though I wouldn't be sacrificing my studies, and him and I would pay for everything. Him spending money on this instead of saving up is also being scrutinized, even though he has a stable job. Scenish12345 responded, "Stop explaining yourself. You're an adult in an adult relationship with another consenting adult. None of it is anyone's business. There's a thing called JADE in some subreddits here. JADE stands for justify, argue, defend, explain. The key is to not jade. You don't need to justify your behavior. You don't need to argue with your parents about it. You don't need to defend your choices. You don't need to explain your reasonings. None of this is anyone's business. So just pretend you don't hear when they ask, or tell them it's not their business, and if they won't stop talking about it, you'll leave. And if they keep talking about it, you actually have to leave. Show them you're serious." Something else that might help. Start asking your parents really invasive questions about their own lives like they do to you. Hooked up is the best topic. Ask your mom when was the last time your dad gave her an orgasm. Ask your dad if he likes giving oral. I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. Offend them and then tell them you feel the same way when they ask stupid personal questions. Also, hi, my name is Brendan, and if you guys are enjoying these entitled parent stories, it would be awesome if you left a like or left a comment if you're listening to our podcast. That being said, our next story is, I'm 23 and my mom got upset at me for turning my location off. My mom's had my location on for a few months now, and I know for a fact she checks it periodically throughout the day, even if we're in communication. I don't mind her tracking occasionally for peace of mind. I just don't like that I feel I can't go somewhere because my mom would see and get mad, even though I've graduated university, lol. I understand the safety concern, but I've shared my location with close friends who my mom has contact with. She blew up and got very upset at me saying I'm blocking her out of my life, even though I'm not. I'd just rather have communication about my plans as opposed to her just stalking me. But am I wrong here? Para953537 responded, "No, as an adult, even the most well-intentioned mom isn't owed the right to an electronic leash over their adult children. She also isn't being disrespected or gravely wronged somehow when an adult child disagrees with her or says the word no. Adults don't always agree on things, and that's okay. And adult parents aren't entitled to veto power over their adult kids when it happens to them. That's not how adulthood or successful parenting works. That said, if she's still providing you with financial or other support of some kind, then she does have the option of making that support conditional upon you providing electronic tracking. She really shouldn't, but that doesn't change the fact that she can, because it's her money support. If that's the case, then there's no way to make her change her mind. Your only option then is to decide if the financial support is worth the electronic leash squeeze. Neptunia Nix responded, controlling, unsupportive family, and aunt. Our next story is, so this one's a bit of a doozy, so bear with me here. E for ED and straight up hostage. So until last year, I, 25-year-old female, had suffered extreme depression and had little to no motivation to clean, keep a job, etc. because of a really abusive ex. I went through a horrible eating disorder as well, but instead of being supportive, my mother decides to tell me to stop being depressed and begin yelling at me for it. This went on for a while, even going as far as to get physically abusive. She decided eventually she was going to force me to get disability, yelling at me to sign things, secretly reapplying when I kept getting denied, evaluations showing I clearly didn't need it. Wouldn't let me get another car after mine broke down because I'll work, and gave the car I was gonna get to my favorited brother, and saying no when I would try applying for new jobs. Then, during all of this, my ever-so-lovely aunt, who apparently thinks she's my mother too, had given Mom the idea to get custody of me so I couldn't work and would be forced to get disability and listen to them forever, all because they wanted complete control. It didn't happen, even though they claim it's easy to do to anyone. Possible fear-mongering. Now, I've had a job and finally have gotten over the trauma/eating disorder my family had no part in helping me recover from, and they now get upset because I never invite them over. Wonder why. My mother then spoke to me today about my aunt apparently wanting her to come into my house to check if it was clean before they moved a new couch I'm supposed to be getting in, which was incredibly hurtful. Thankfully, Mom said she wouldn't, but given how she is, I don't trust her that much, period. Since I do pay rent and such, I'm going to tell the landlord in the morning to not give her a key of any kind. Since she's not on my lease, she can't anyways, but it's a just-in-case deal. OK_airline_9031 responded, send notification via certified mail and email to your landlord, just to cover legal bases for both of you, stressing that no one in your family is ever to be given access to your apartment in any situation. You may want to get a friend to be your emergency contact on file in case these two try to claim, OP is in the hospital, we need to collect some things for them kind of crap. In such an event, if real, it would likely not be considered unreasonable to let them have access, so you want to be upfront on the record that they will never be tasked for such a situation. Our next story is, what is it with the location sharing needs? Eye roll. I was the baby of the family and yet had the most health issues as a kid. I'm lucky I didn't grow up in the cell phone tracking time because I'm now married with 2 kids and honestly I live in a pretty safe area. This Thanksgiving we traveled to my rents and my mom asked, have you ever thought about the Life 360? And I automatically said no. Hell no. I'm not sharing my location. Heck, my husband doesn't even care, and you guys don't even live in the same state as me. Not gonna happen. I don't get it. Now that parental units have discovered some applications, they expect all their kids to get in line? For F's sake, no way, no how. Working on it 12 responded, I don't put it on my kids' phones, but boy did their school counselors browbeat the parents about it. Auto insurance people too. Fortunately, my mother never really understood 360 and the like, but she was really ticked that I refused to text her and let her know I got home. I was 50 at the time. I didn't say heck no, but I did tell her that there was nothing she could do from the assisted living facility if I did have a problem. She was not happy. Our next story is, my mother is strangely into my hooked up life. At first I thought all parents are like this. It started last year when she accidentally heard my ex and I talking very not safe for work on the phone. Next morning, she wanted to know all the details. I was uncomfortable, but I thought it was normal. I think I should add that she came out as asexual to me. Fast forward to now, I've just started seeing someone new and we went out together. She knew because he came over to pick me up. She wanted to know if he tried anything with me, if he kissed me or hugged me. Again, I thought she was just being a mother, but then she insisted on seeing pictures of us. I told her they're private because he's kissing me in a few. She got even more eager. Didn't give up till she finally saw them. I told my friend about this and she said it's definitely not normal. This woman is a total bench, but I don't know if she's also sick in that way. Seagoat Gamer Girl responded, "I'm a mom of 2 adult girls and a tween boy. We make a lot of inappropriate jokes, not the tween, and laugh it off. Even jokes about their dad and I. They know if they ever had an issue or a concern or needed any type of advice or anything, not just that area, they can come find me and I'll be upfront and honest. But that doesn't mean I want all the deets on what they're doing. That's just gross. My mom was totally against anything sexual. Wait until marriage, then never talk about it type. I knew nothing, and instead of dipping a toe, I cannonballed and should have ended up with way more kids and STIs than I actually did. I don't want that for my kids, so they know if they ever have a question, I'm here, but they also know I don't want a play-by-play of how their relationship goes. Our next story is, my mom wants to cure my asexuality. Oh boy, here we go. I, 18-year-old female, just came out to my mom as asexual. Her reaction? She wants to put me on hormones to increase my hooked up drive. This is actually so dumb. My mom is a hardcore Christian who believes that premarital hooked up is pretty much the worst thing you can do. Yet when I tell her that I have no desire to have hooked up, she wants me to still want to? This is the same woman that hates trans people and is disgusted when trans kids are put on hormones. Yet she wants to put me, her adult daughter, on hormones because she thinks I should want hooked up, but also not have hooked up. I couldn't make this make less sense if I tried. Update. Today we were talking about college and she goes off on a tangent that was essentially her repeatedly going, "Don't have hooked up, don't have hooked up, don't have hooked up." I don't even know what she wants anymore. Boku no Cloud responded, I, non-binary, 26, came out to my mom as ace when I was 17. She couldn't wrap her head around not wanting to have hooked up. She kept asking me if I was sure and how did I know if I had never tried it. She encouraged me to have hooked up with my, at the time, boyfriend, even offered to buy condoms. It was really off-putting to me, and I didn't understand her pushing her child to have hooked up. When I still refused, she did her own research and told me how some ace people still have hooked up for the sake of their partners. Looking back on it, I think she just didn't want me to break up with my boyfriend over it because she liked him and often tried to live vicariously through me. Regardless, I have not had hooked up and I have no plans to have hooked up nearly a decade later. It just grosses me out. I'm sorry your mom sucks. Stay true to yourself. Our next story is, my entitled parent won't let me have privacy. So I am a 21-year-old female and live at home with my family. I work full-time and go to school part-time. I currently share a room with my younger sibling, teen. One of my parents wants me to pay rent, $200 monthly. I'm okay with paying rent since I'm working and don't mind helping. Here's the thing, I'm not allowed privacy in my room. I can't lock the door, I can't leave the door closed, I can't have the lights on past 10 p.m. I can't have my dog in my bed, just to name some things. I'm the only one being forced to share a room, and my other siblings don't have these same restrictions. I feel it's unfair to pay rent but then have all these rules for me. It's not like I'm out doing crazy stuff. I go to work, go to the gym, etc. So I told my parent that I wouldn't pay rent unless they agreed to abolish these rules for me or apply them to my other siblings. They refused, saying I have to earn the right to privacy. I refuse to pay rent anymore. So now I was just verbally given 30 days to move out. I'm looking, but with the housing costs, I can barely afford to move. Fubriel responded, I wish I had advice for you. All I can say is this is completely unnecessary and unfair. Everyone else has their own rooms and no rules. You're the only one sharing a room and all the rules? Absolutely unfair. My 20-year-old still lives with us. No rent, no rules. She's responsible and respectful. She just graduated and has a job lined up. She'll contribute when she's working and making money. Hugs to you from this mama. Our next story is, non-parents shouldn't be allowed to have time off during school holidays. Today found an article about how all the children-free monsters are booking holidays during summer. Excerpt below. My husband's small team is full of child-free colleagues who often book the school holidays off, despite not even having kids. I don't think it's that big a deal for companies to say that only parents should get priority to book off half-term or the 6-week summer holiday. First, if you have kids, you need to be organized and book time off early. How does it go? Your lack of planning does not constitute an emergency on my part. Also, if I want to go to a summer festival or spend a week with my nephews, that's up to me. Yes, having kids can make work and life balance more difficult, but that's a choice people make when they have kids. When did it become normal for parents to demand everyone else adjust their lives because of a choice they made? Asleep_Captain7669 commented, just because they don't have kids doesn't mean they don't have family who want to spend the holiday with. Partner, their parents, siblings, friends, and so on. And everyone has the equal right to get days off work on holiday. It just depends on if you do it on time or if you already spent your off days, so why blame people who request days off on time? Our next story is Lazy Entitled Stepmom and Dad. I tore my right meniscus last weekend skiing while getting off a ski loft. After getting it checked out at urgent care, the doctor advised me to rest and stay off it at least 2 weeks. I have some crutches at my dad's house, so I called him yesterday and told him my situation and asked for him to find them for me because I'd like to use them. He said sure, no problem, he'd look for them and let me know. He lives about 30 to 45 minutes away, depending on how bad traffic is during the evenings. Later that evening, my dad and stepmom call me. She talks in the background, making comments because he cannot talk to me alone, saying he found the crutches. She then makes a joke saying, "Oh, when are you going to come get them?" Which threw me off guard, and I go, well, that's funny coming from someone who's at home all day and never leaves the house. Obviously my dad didn't like that and told me to chill and brushed it off. He then asked if my husband was going to stop by on his way home from work to get them. I said I've never even considered asking him and it's too late to ask now. I then said, I don't think it's fair that you're wanting someone who's injured to drive all the way to you to come get these crutches. My stepmom then turns around and goes, wow, you clearly don't know us anymore. That was rude. I never did state I wanted the crutches right away. I told him not to bother coming if it was too inconvenient and traffic would be bad. He said he'd let me know. He then calls me an hour later and asks if it's okay if he comes another time. I said, yeah, that's totally okay. I'm not upset about that, more so about them making those jokes and asking me when I'm coming. He said in the kindest tone that they were just messing with me because that's what they do. I should know that. In retaliation to their own game, I told him my comment to my stepmom was a joke and that she should suck it up like he always tells me to do. He didn't like that. Yes, they've always been like that, but it doesn't mean I have to tolerate it or like it. I feel like it's a hidden emotional abuse tactic. I probably shouldn't have retaliated. I don't ask them for much because it's always some stipulation or emotional abuse tactic. Plus, I'm the one who 95% has to make the effort. I don't like to go to their house alone because my stepmom says weird crap, and then my dad always sticks up for her, saying she's mentally ill and I need to suck it up. I don't know, maybe I'm being unreasonable and my comment was rude. Our next story is, helicopter parents are helping me find housing and it's kind of driving me, 21-year-old male, crazy. I'm a 21-year-old male who has helicopter parents. I've gotten used to it, but recently their actions are kind of becoming annoying. I'll be graduating from college this spring, and I have a job lined up that will be paying a salary around $135 to $150K, with about $210 to $220K total compensation. Lately, my parents have become pretty annoying in terms of looking for housing. I'm about 7 months from my start date, but my parents are particularly neurotic about looking for housing. I understand that I should start early, but we were literally recently traveling the city I'll be working in to look for housing without any real plan at the type of housing we'll be looking at. A lot of people don't start looking at all 2 to 3 months before their start date. I think in my case, it's good to start looking at now, but I see no reason to literally travel to the city I'll be working at without any plan. I don't have a problem with my parents helping me look for housing, but what's annoying is that they feel that they need to basically babysit me during the housing process. I really don't need my parents' help for the most part in terms of this, though I would appreciate some help. But I feel like the amount of help they're trying to give is a bit extreme. What are your thoughts? Swim Galway replied, "This is a bit off topic, but I'm sure they'll also want keys to your place. Do not do this. They already have enough control of your life, and if they're the type of helicopter parents that you say, they'll show up anytime they want and just let themselves in. So once again, you'll have no privacy in the home you pay for. They will try to convince it'll be for emergencies only, but for them, the emergency will be to get into your house and fix it properly, or to just check and make sure you're doing what they think is proper." Our next story is, "My mom is obsessed with guys. I, 15-year-old female, have a tough relationship with my mom, 54-year-old female. All she's ever cared about are guys. I mean, yeah, she provides for me and I have everything I need, but she spends all her extra money for gifts and dates with all these random guys she meets on Plenty of Fish. I can't even count how many boyfriends, or in her words, friends, I've met of hers. One time, she said a guy was coming for a visit and I was ticked because I knew what was coming next, and she assured me he would be gone the next day. The next day was very important because it was my high school freshman orientation and I didn't want some random guy to be there. Sure enough, he didn't leave the next day and in fact was there for the next 3 months before she kicked him out. It really hurt because your first day of high school and your freshman orientation are big things, and having some random guy in the pictures makes me upset because it was a family thing. Now all I remember about my freshman orientation and my first weeks of high school are I was freaked out by her boyfriend and stayed in my room the whole time. She's moved guys in with us and moved us in with guys more times than I can count. The guys always come first over me. I just want it to be me and her because all these random guys make me uncomfortable. Like, I'm just seeking validation because whenever I bring it up, we argue because she says I don't want her to be happy, but that's not the case. She just moves too fast with guys and brings them too close to events after knowing them for 2 days. I just want to know, are my feelings valid?" Excellent Ad 1132 replied, "Next time you get pictures taken, make sure he's on the other side of her and your mother is in the middle. When she comments that you should be in the middle because you're the main character, explain that with her latest on the other side of her, he will be easier to cut out or Photoshop out of the picture. Then, no matter what excuse she comes up with saying that it won't be like that, mention that you don't live in Fantasyland and see how she is with men. So this is how pictures will have to be, or there will be no picture with her current boyfriend in them." Our next story is, "My mother won't let me be financially independent and take a close look at my bank account daily. Salam, I need some advices. I'm fed up. I'm working 2 jobs as a teacher in 2 different schools while working to get my master's degree. Both of my salaries are put into a savings account so we could move out and get a house. The rest is given to her because she struggles financially. When I'm paid 1,500 euros a month, I give her 400 to 500 euros. Send the rest to my savings account and keep for myself 100 euros, and in his amount of money, I have to pay for my food at work, college, etc. Now, here's the thing. I love games, video games. I buy myself some games in packs for about 50 euros, and sometimes I treat myself with some goodies from AliExpress so I don't pay much and have stuff. She hates it. She will check my bank account regularly. She made me swear on the Quran to stop doing it. I had to swear without my consent. I was tired of this and wanted some games for Christmas, so I bought them along with some packs. I no longer wanted to obey about how to use my own money. She lost it and called me a sinner, saying I'll lose Allah's love forever for lying after swearing. That peed me off. I fast, I pray, and when I have money, I give it to the peoples in need. I help pay the bills. I paid when my brother went to jail. And yet I'm the sinner? I swore in the Quran because I was forced by her. I live with her and don't have another place to live, but at this point, I'm looking for apartments because this is getting ridiculous. Not to mention, sometimes I do pay until I'm in the negative and treat her with flowers, pastries, presents, etc. Will I go to heck? I don't want to go to heck. I love God and I believe in Him, but I can't manage my money. She's taking notes daily on my bank account number, so she knows daily if I've paid for anything. Am I in the wrong? Cardabella responded, "Open new accounts at a different bank and don't tell her. Rent an apartment, move out, and give mom less. Tell her you'll try and increase the amount, but you're finding your feet. After you're no longer dependent on her for housing, you can tell her, I'm a grown adult and financially independent. I'll stop sending you money before I stop playing computer games that the Quran doesn't forbid anywhere I've read. I want nothing more than a kind, respectful parent-adult-child relationship with you, but if all you have to say is chastise me and try to control my decisions, then I'm going home. With that being said, that is all the time we have for today. Guys, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to drop a like or comment below, and if you want to check out any of our other videos, click the video on the right. With that being said, I will see you all next time.